Hey folks, Scott Grove here, Dr. Groovy from GroovyMusicLessons.com. We are doing waltzes today. 3/4 time, 3/4 time, whatever you want to call it. Real quick, I want to remind you guys, because of a few comments, why do I give lessons to beginners, or slightly more than beginners, or intermediate people? Basically because pros don't need lessons. You've got people all over YouTube or Facebook or anywhere else that teach shred the whole time, and it's really tough stuff. And basically people that do all that stuff already, they don't need lessons unless they want to play country, then they're totally lost. Okay? So, if you're one of those guys that just shred away and you actually need to learn how to play some good music, hey, welcome to Country 101. Again, the waltz. This is for you people that are stuck at the beginning, just doing straight. Doing that thing. Okay? So we're going to get out of that. We're going to incorporate just a simple bass line under these things. Okay, you'll notice my rhythm changed up a little bit simply because of that. It's not going to be all the time. It will be sometimes what you are playing. Depends on what you want, and if you're recording or playing with the band, what the song calls for. Okay, so the old style of what I just did at the very beginning is still used in some recordings and stuff. It's usually very high tinny stuff, and it's just mixed behind the hi-hat in order to give it some. And you don't hear much more of it than that, but it has its place. Okay, the other thing is the rhythm of this will actually get changed to something more usable, like okay, so it barely resembles a waltz anymore, but that is what has been played for the longest time now by your people that are beyond beginners. Okay, you'll notice this throughout the 60s and 70s when this started becoming really popular. Even the Beatles, very different. Okay, waltz. Let me sing you a little something, Waylon and Willie. I'll just do a little bit of it, but you'll see that it had changed. Okay, this is as country as it gets, but it had already changed from the basic stuff. The cowboys ain't easy to love, they're harder to hold. They'd rather give you a song than diamonds or gold. Okay, so just from that you could tell that everything has changed up. So in this lesson, I will teach you everything I've shown you and even go a little further into different rhythms that are used in 3/4 time or waltzes or whatever you want to call the thing. I just call it good old country music. So number one, some people are like, what the heck is that guitar? Let's show you real quick. It's something that is groovy. That's right. I think it's a vodka sponsored guitar that I don't know if it had a name on it or not. I can't remember. I put some electronics in the thing and slapped a Groovy decal up there and put a finish over top of it, and it has remained groovy. I'm not playing way up here today, so I don't need a cutaway. So it's a groovy guitar now. Okay, so if you guys want to get groovy and bring your waltz game up, stick around and we'll make that happen. Okay, I'm glad you guys decided to stick around. As mentioned earlier, if you have the typical waltz pattern down, groovy. If not, here is the one that we are working from and growing out of. And that is simply like grab a D chord, and we're going to hit the D string and just strum down on the 4 strings that make up the D chord. I use my thumb to keep the ones quiet up at top. Don't push down or you get that. Just shut them up so you can hit everything. So both downstrokes after the D string. Okay, there's a G chord. I need to mention something about the G chord. I personally, about 95% of the time, play it as a 4-fingered chord, where I actually put the first 2 fingers as normally done, but instead of just adding 1 finger on the high E string at the 3rd fret, I actually put 1, which is the ring finger, on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then the pinky directly under it where the old finger was. So I have the B and G string covered with those 2 fingers there. So otherwise, just sounds kind of odd to me personally. You play it how you wish, but I will be playing it like that, just in case you wonder. Okay, so all of the chords would be played like that. You hit the root note, meaning whatever name of the chord is. So I hit the D note, and here the G note. Okay, so that is the basic way of doing this. The first thing that we need to add to start our journey here is to add another note. Okay, like this. You'll hear the difference. Okay, so that's simply putting another note in with it. Okay, this here, if you know any theory at all, it's called adding the 5th, which means if you are in D and you know your major scale, you start on the D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the do, re, mi thing. But it's the 5th note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is an A note. So that means we play D with our pick, then our 2 strums, then the A that we just figured out. So okay, so what this actually is the bass line. Okay, so you've heard this a bunch of times. If you haven't played it before, that's how it works out. For now, we're going to be in D for a while. We may change up later on. When we go to the G, it works out that it's the 5th is 4, 5, a D. So we do a G, then we have a D string that's actually not being fretted at all, so we can actually do the G, 2 strokes down, then the D string, G, D, okay, and then A. I'll give you a hint. If you ever have a chord where you, like on D, and you have a string that's not being played above it, just like you had the D string and then the A string with nothing being played on there, it's always going to be the note above whatever it is. Even if you're playing like a C, it'd be the note above the main note. So if it's a C, you play the note above it the second time, which is a G. Okay, so that's how that works. So now that we're getting into, after we did the D, and the G, D string, G note, D string. When we go to the A, okay, we had an A there. We have a note right above it. It just happens to be the low E string. That's what it's going to be. It just happens it's up there. Nobody's playing it, so we might as well. Okay, so I've got a backing track of drums and bass here, going like this. Okay, so I will now play along with that, and I will add in the notes that I just taught you. Okay, very simple, and we'll use this backing track for a while. We'll be here for a while, because if you're at the beginner or slightly more than beginner stuff, we're going to have to be here for a while. And always pause, rewind, do whatever it takes, practice something as long as you need to, until you have it down. We're going to actually switch up rhythms here in just a second. That's where it gets tricky. Okay? And then we're going to start adding what's called waltz from one chord to another, which gets even trickier, and on and on. Okay, so with the backing track of the drums and the bass, here's the thing through all 3 chords. Here we go. Okay, big huge drums coming in, trying to pound my head off. Okay, so until you get that, you can pause this or shut it off and make sure you get that down really clear. Get it in all the keys that you can, just like I showed you with C. If you go to F, it'll be the note right above it, which is C. Then G chord will be next. We already know that one. with the D string. If you do E, there's not a note above it, right? Okay, this is going to be a B. So it's the note actually right here on the A string, 2nd fret. And that is, again, using the scale. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the major scale. So it's the 5th note. But I'm teaching you right now all the ones that will be in these. So it is a B. So if you're doing E, it is. Then A, we already know. Then our B7. It is F sharp that we're looking for. That's because here the B is boink straight above it. Like I told you before, if you have a string above it, just put like that B, put it up there. Okay. Let me see if we have another. If we're in A, we already have it covered because we've played all these. Have the A and the E up above it. If we go to the D, we have the open A string above it. And if we go to then E, we've already learned that. We have the B that we have to go to. Okay, so that's pretty much it. See, we got A. You're probably not going to be playing in the key of B right now unless you use a capo. C we did. D. F you're probably not going to play if you're not doing B flats. And C and D. We've covered them all. Okay, so as much as I want to help you with today anyway. So that's got you going. Okay, so back to the key of D. Let's get these walking notes first that I had shown you. Okay, these are fairly simple. We are wanting to get from one chord to the next, and you hear this all the time. Something like that. I'll cover that up at some point, or not. No, I'll just leave it in there. I make mistakes all the time myself. So to do these, we're actually going to start that walking process with whatever note of the chord you're playing. So in D. Okay, so then my bad. It's as many chords as we want to hit here, as many strings as we want to. So up to the G is what we're trying to get to. Okay, so to do this on the D string, since again that is the note of the chord, and we have our little extra note here, the 5th of the chord is what we're playing there. But you always want to start your walk Okay, these little couple note things going by on the note which names the chord. So from the D. Okay, this will be the same all the time. It seems different if you're playing open chords like this, where you have an open D string, meaning there's nothing being played on it. Okay, we go from open, 2nd fret, 4th fret, and then to the name of the next chord, which will be G. Okay, if you notice me playing a different kind of rhythm, that's the kind that's coming up. Okay, I'm just probably forgetting that you're not there yet, but we're working on the walks, so let's concentrate on those. Okay, so when we switch up to the G, we're actually hitting the G string. And you got to make that G chord real quick. And then we hit the D note because it's G, D, G, D, A. Okay, like that. So how does this come in? When does it come in? So you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then on the 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it starts right on the 1. If you're counting in your head, which you probably will, to begin with, before it becomes natural. So you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so it just happens real natural that it falls on the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, generally this does not happen when we go to the 2nd chord, which is a G. We do the walk up to it, of course, because that's what we just did. Then to the A. Okay, so we almost always do a walk from the 3rd chord. Okay, which was A, however you play it, one finger or whatever, and it's going to be exactly like the D chord because we're playing on an open string. So we're going to do an open A string, 2, 2nd fret, 4, 4th fret, and then the D chord. Okay, and you'll count it the same way, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're in A. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, that one there is simply putting a walk in to finalize the fact that you're still in D. Okay, so that was A, the 2nd fret, the same walk we just did to get back from A to D. Okay, so everything in its entirety. Did that second after the A and after it went back to D and hung there for a little bit, that's where we start over again, unless the song changes up and goes to a chorus, where generally it would go to the G chord and hang out there for a while. Okay, so if you've been playing a waltz in its simplest form, you basically know how the song structure goes, and where it generally goes to a different chord, usually the second chord of a country song. Okay, and it will do what it does there. You won't be doing walks while you're in G. But when you go back to D, what? Okay, now when you're playing the D chord, and then you go to the third chord that you usually use, which is the A here, because we do walks on A and we do walks on D. So the first and the third chords that we typically use, I did a walk down instead of a walk. That sounds like it's building up. So it's a walk up to the chord. That's the way it's actually phrased from any musician you talk to. You do a walk up. But if we do a walk down from the D to the A, we just simply play it backward. Okay, so we play the D, then 4, 2, open, and then play the A chord. Okay, so you're in A, and we're going to walk up to D. Going to the ending. Okay, so you'll hear things like that. So whatever walks you do, just remember that if you are on the third chord of the progression, like D, G, A, that's your progression, how it progresses. The first chord and the actual third chord, not the second one, can have walks on them. The only walk that is generally used, if you're like on the G, the only exception would be to go up one more fret. So if you're in G, so you hear those. So whatever you're playing would actually go up one fret before you go to the third chord of your progression. So that was a G. Okay, so I just went up one fret. If it's open and trying to go to something, okay, that would happen if you're in E. You would have E, walk, walk down, walk up, okay, so I did a walk up going, okay, so I walked up from what would be kind of like an A, Okay, just went up 1 fret and then to the B. So backwards walks and forward walks. Okay, so that's how those are done. If you need any help with that, simply rewind and listen to what is going on. Even with the, I'll go through the C thing with you real quick. Now the walk here is different because there's no open notes. Okay, the thing here is you still have to go from C, you go up 2 frets just like you did when the strings were open, and then to the 2nd fret of the D string. It's just the same as doing that if it was an open string. Okay, but we're doing... Okay, so that goes to the 2nd fret, and then the next note is going to be the next chord, the name of the next chord, because we only have 2 notes being played that are not in the chords. There's only 2 notes in a walk. Okay, you're like in C, so C, still C, so it don't count. F. So the only 2 notes I used was D and E in the walk up. So those are the passing notes. Okay, remember that phrase, just passing notes. You just pass by them, you don't stay there, you're only there for 1 single count. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so after you play the next chord quickly. So that was a walk down from C. That's from the 3rd fret, 2nd fret, open, now your G chord. Okay, so it takes a little bit of figuring out. You'll always hear if you have it correctly, but that's basically what you're going to run into if it's not an open chord or anything with the open note that names the chord, like A. Wish it could all be that simple, okay? But if you're in A and you're trying to get down to E, up to D, down to the A, just like we did, down again. So there's a little bit different rule there. You had 2 walk downs instead of any 2 sets of walk ups. We had 1 walk up to the D. But usually on the 2nd chord we don't have a walk down. But if you're not going straight to the 3rd chord, yeah, there's a place for a walk down. And that is a good example of it right there. Okay, so to play these walking notes with the drums and the bass here, let's check out how that rolls for us. Here we go. Again, D, G, and A. off. Okay? Again. So I use the one just going up from the G to the A, just a one note, passing note. Okay, so that's how that works out. It's a lot of information that needs to be practiced. Okay, the information is there. It's been told to you, and will it be easy to remember? No, that's why you get to practice this for a while and come back when you're ready to switch up your rhythm and not be playing. Okay, you're still going to end up doing, but we're going to be going. You're like, where's the walks? They'll still be there. Will that kind of stuff be in there? Yeah. Ask Willie Nelson. he can do. You've heard it a million times. It's going to be there. So go practice what we've learned so far. And learned? That's country, I guess. What we've learned so far for you city folks. And we're going to head on up to how to play the fancier rhythm on this picking hand, okay? So that's next. Okay, so here we go with that. Okay, so it's down, down, up with your picking hand. Okay, so. Okay, so your main note, we're still in D, down, up, okay, down, up, down, up, down, up, then the A string, down, up, D string, A. Okay, so that's what it does, down, up, so D, down, up, A string, down, up, D string, down, up, A string, up, G, D, G, D, A, E, A, E, D. Okay, so it's best by far to forget your walks for right now until you get that rhythm down. Okay, so use your other note. Okay, the thing that's different here is we are filling up the space between everything, because everything was a down. Down, down, boing, down, 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 down. We're putting an up strum in between every single down. So we're playing twice as many things with our strumming hand. Okay, so forget about the walks that you just worked so hard on, but you could put those all in when you think you've got this rhythm. Then you'll be with the Okay, so that's how that will work out. It's just simply filling in between the downstrokes with an upstroke. Okay, so best way to practice is that way. Just cover up your strings. And just keep playing like that until you have it, unless you can just simply get right there real quick, the way you played your old way. If you can just do that right off the bat, great, more power to you. If it comes that quick, awesome. Okay, when you add in your walks, they're still mainly going to be single notes. But if you can, okay, the D chord, yes, it was single notes, meaning you're hitting one note at a time. Now G, you got enough to kind of hang on to part of the chord, mainly right here in the middle where you have an open D string and an open G string, if you're going to do the one note walk up. You can go ahead and actually toss in a couple of notes from the chord. If you're an A, you're good there too with all the single notes. Some of the stuff will work out where you can actually have part of the chord ringing, like in E. You can have part of the chord still ringing and going on, which is kind of cool. There's a really good example of what I'm trying to get at. If you're doing the walk from D back to D, just the one that brings everything together, you can still keep playing the chord, the D chord, except for you just have this going on, these two fingers, but you're using those to do the walking like this. Okay, so you hear how it goes there. Probably the best example of all. So yeah, that's great. Try to do that if you can, if you're an A. You can do it too, because you can use your thumb to grab that second fret on the low E string. Different things will lend themselves to different things, but you can play the chords whenever you can during the walks. Okay, the variations of the that thing are coming up right after this. I thought of something right when I was doing it. The walk-ups will be in the exact same place, count-wise. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. The thing is, between your 1 and your 2 and your 3 is you've got an extra note, and that's the up note. That is between your 1, 2, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, and that's the way it would actually be counted if you want to count something on every strum. Okay, Just little things to toss in while we go along. Now, these are things that are just simply for feel, and that's what we want. We're going to continue down the road with how to change this up a little bit. Okay? When I was doing the Mamas Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys and kind of singing horribly at the beginning of this video, there were changes. Things like that. That's all improvised, but I have to teach you the improvisation. And that is things like, and that's learning. I'm all kinds of country right now. Okay. How to stop and put in accents. So we got accents are not going to be in the same place every time. It's just what you feel. It might be between words if you're singing. Okay? Like, cowboys ain't easy to love. They're harder to hold. Okay? So there's just little stops, pauses. Ghost notes, that's when you just shut up the strings, but you still play them. Where you would normally do a walk, there might be something different. Just go from a D to a D7. Okay, because you don't always want to do a walk every single time. It gets boring to the listener and to you. Okay, so go straight, you know. Okay, so what I did was so that lets the listener's ear know that you're getting ready to switch to something. Okay? And that generally means you're going to go to the second chord that's usually in a song, which is actually what's called the 4 chord. Because if you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the G. Okay? Good thing to know the theory, or at least the basic major scale. You can look up the Nashville number system if you want. I have that on a video on here a couple times on 2 different channels. And I've put that also on this channel as well. I want to make sure everybody got to see the same videos. So the Nashville number system, look that up, and you'll get a lot more information on the stuff I'm talking about right now. These 1s, 4s, and 5s and what they mean. Okay, so that 7th chord is a groovy thing. All you do is take the main note, the highest version of that note, so not this D, but that D at the 3rd fret there on the B string, and flatten it, meaning going up towards the nut 2 frets. Now, the next chord, you'll probably never do a 7th on it. But when you go back to the D, you're fine playing D. Then when you're in A, okay, or okay, figured out that's an A, because we have the low A. We don't want to use the low one. We want to use the highest one at our disposal that we can make. Right now it's currently this one. We want to flatten it 2 notes. So 2 frets back, it makes it open, which means we can just simply lift it off. And that comes in right before you switch back to your 1 chord or your D chord. Okay? So 7th chords work out really, really well, especially in waltzes, before you go to the next chord. But that 2nd chord that you're going to be using rarely, I mean almost never, ever goes to a 7th chord. So the first one and then the chord that you use for your 3rd chord, both can have the 7th in it and be totally fine. It's just the unwritten rule, but it should be written. Okay? So, when the walks get old, throw in a 7th, or just do nothing, just play. And you can switch it up. Okay, don't forget the old one. You can go straight from... You can go right from that to... It's still nice to put in the part where you're going from the root to the 5th, or the other string, and mix that in with... Okay, there I put the other one in every other time. Okay, because a waltz is a waltz, and sometimes people need to be reminded that there is still a waltz pattern under everything. That is still important. Let me see if my guitar is still in tune. Almost. There we go. So yeah, keep that in mind. I gotta put that on the screen. Groovy. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, to keep things traditional in the middle of all of this fun stuff going on, just remember that now and then. Just go back to the old one just for a second. Give the listener something different to listen to other than all of this stuff put into every single song. Okay, don't throw all your tricks out there. Okay, don't put all your eggs in one basket, whatever they say. Don't reveal all your tricks, at once. So these are just things to add to what you're doing, to try to give you the full experience of what you can do with a waltz. Okay, the other things, these embellishments, these different rhythm things that okay, that stuff again is feel. It's improvisation. You get the little walks that just happen within one normal note space. I know it sounds like the Addams Family. Whatever it is. But yeah, that will happen as you play and get familiar with things, because you'll start to notice while listening to music that something else is going on. You'll hear something and you'll play it because you've played it before, but now it is different somehow. You'll recognize that it is but it went. See how quickly that went by, but it is still very ear friendly. If you are playing in a band situation with a bass and stuff, you have to work out some of these things. If the bass is going to be doing with you, okay, you guys need to establish that. You're going to play that together. Okay, instead of you going and him going, because it sounds all kinds of screwy. That's why you're a band and you band together to make everything kosher and the same. It takes away a little bit of your freedom, but if the bass player is doing nothing other than just going doom, 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 then you have the freedom to do both, okay, just whenever you want. So that's just something to remember if you're playing with a bass player. Work the stuff out. Okay, again, more of the improv stuff, trying to show you how to improvise. There, I'm adding a pinky at the 3rd fret on the high E string. And I'm changing the rhythm just to do so. I might just feel that happening. I just want to add that in. Why? Because I'm the guitar player and I can do whatever I want. Bass player is less than us. He only has 4 strings, or 5 at the tops. I know they make 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12 string and 24 string basses. Yes, that's the truth. But just wanted to throw a funny there. Yeah, just because it feels good. I just lifted off my middle finger. That's getting into the almost type of thing, but you just will come up with different melodies that work with waltzes just the same as anything that's in regular 4/4 time. So you will want to exaggerate a certain note. So you do. You break up the pattern of still a waltz, of course, 100%. Everything going on is still in 3/4 time. Again, it's just a whole feel thing and you improvising. It helps greatly if you play along with a song and don't do what they're doing. Do something different and just try things. Try with different, if you have access to your keyboard. Right now you can put in country waltz drum beat, and hey, what do you know, one will show up, or 20 or 30 or more, and you can just have that play along kind of like this, and you can sit there and play along with it. I suggest you do. Squeaky wheel needs the grease. Okay, so it's very good to have some kind of a rhythm thing going on to practice these with. So I would suggest, on YouTube, just put in waltz drum pattern and make sure you stay within it and try to do some improvising. It's not a matter of banging on things just to bang on them, but to actually try to feel something that you have heard before or that you're hearing from me. There are a lot of songs to listen to that you've heard before, and it's good to listen to those that have a good, strong rhythm player. And some of the more current country stuff is really out there, but try to hone in on what the acoustic player is doing. Okay, it's generally the acoustic that's going to be doing all the stuff like we're doing right now. Electric guitars during waltz stuff, you're barely going to hear them doing anything. I think maybe Waylon was one of the few people that actually bothered to play the rhythm parts on an electric guitar. Okay, so you can listen to him. He does a couple things different. So you can pick up what sounds, what they sound like, and hopefully with these little embellishments, you'll say, oh, okay, yeah, Scott showed me that. So real quick before I go, I want to throw in what notes you can add in order to make things sound different, and you will start feeling the embellishments or the improv stuff happening. It just happens when you add a different note in there than is normally there. And like I showed you here, you can put your pinky on the 3rd fret while we're in D, pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E, and pull off the middle finger that is there on your high E. So you got okay, that's your first finger, taking it off and hammering it back on. Okay, that was the pinky going to the 4th fret on the G string. Okay, when you go to G, that's the main one you're going to come up with. That's going to the A string, getting the notes off of there. Okay, and that's going A string. So it's hammering down on the 2nd fret of the A string. Then the D string up. Then the G note. That's just a cool thing. And let's see, we went to A. All kinds of cool ones there if you actually go and make the regular A chord the way it's supposed to be done with 3 fingers. Add the pinky here on the 3rd fret of the B string. And on the B string, take that finger off. Okay, that's all still in waltz time, 3/4 time. That's the D string finger just being taken off and hammered back on, just like in the D chord. Let's see. So we got A, B. We're just generally not going to use. Let's B7. No. So B, C. We have a few. we have the pinky available to do some cool stuff. In C, we can put the pinky on the 3rd fret on the high E string. That's really cool to use after your G chord because it sounds great. It just stays there. That pinky is just kind of cool to put there, but you can, okay, we can do the pinky there. Take it, first finger is on the C note, but put it up there on the E string for a second. Open, so you've got 3, meaning fret 3, fret 1, open on the E string, put your finger back where it belongs, and then pinky on the 3rd fret of the B string, and then take it off. So you have the pinky again, go into the D string 3rd fret. So 2nd fret, hammer it on, G string, back to the D string, get rid of that finger, and then back to the C note. But you can just add it anywhere. If you're in C and you need a C7 before you go to the F, that's just what your next chord is going to be, from C to F to C to G. Okay, those will be your 3 chords. But if you need C to C7, again, you just add the pinky to the 3rd fret on the G string. So you're going. Walk down nice, walk down to G, that's that same thing that we already did, okay? So see, we did C, we did D already. We can also put a pinky, if you can stretch it all the way up there at the 5th fret on the high E. It's just a cool thing if you can hit it. That takes some doing. Some of us have longer fingers. Me, I don't. I just have been doing that for so many years. Okay, D, E. Okay, for E or other choices that we can play while we're doing a waltz. Is everything on the 2nd fret with your pinky. Okay? Okay? Just whatever you like. Okay? Embellishments. And they will make you play different. Okay? That's still a waltz. I was doing a waltz still. Okay? So that is improv, kids. It will just make you do things. Music does that. It makes you invoke feelings to yourself and other people as you get into it. Okay? If you're playing an F, again, everything on the 3rd fret. They're all doable. Okay? G, we can do everything on the 2nd fret. Okay? With our first finger. Okay, we can take it off and hit everything on the D string down. So in a go to the C chord. One thing that's always cool is you can just take these two fingers and drop them both down one, and it sounds pretty cool. Okay, so that's something to work on for sure. So anyway, that's where I'm going to stop at today. Make sure you use all those notes I showed you and try to feel something to make your right hand do something different, but still stay in time with the 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Why would I count it like that? That's what's called a measure or a bar. It's something that will come up again when I do a second part to the Waltz video here. But grab some drum tracks here on YouTube. There are a bunch. I've looked. And play in time with those. Use everything I've shown you, and you'll be well on your way to being a much better player when it comes to waltzes, for sure. And I have no doubt that your improv skills will improve greatly, just from you feeling that you're doing a much better job than you used to do. It just happens. Okay? How to teach improv? You can't. You can try. I threw some things out there for you to kind of feel and let you know that it can be done. Maybe you can pick up on a little bit of what I did and try to do it. But like I said, listen to other waltzes and country music. And up in the 70s are a lot of good things. In the 80s, if you can find some waltzes, people started doing some different things at that time. If you listen to like Alabama and stuff like that, they started doing some different things with it. And again, with Waylon, he started adding some stuff. Hank Jr. had a little bit of different things going on as well on his waltzes. So check out some of those and others. And you guys stay groovy and enjoy your 3/4 time songs, man. It's the main root of country there. You know, when you're doing waltzes, you don't think of much else, you know, in my world anyway. Okay, you guys stay groovy and quit looking at my chick. I know, you've been staring at her the whole time. Get your arm out of the way, Scott. Okay, there she is. Enjoy it. Okay, you can pause it and check her out. Okay, that's for you. Okay, you guys, once again, stay groovy. Later on.